Wordy Reactions, where I review content and videos that I find interesting most of the time. We're not going to do that today, but most of the time, that's what we do. And hopefully, you find that stuff interesting too. Then I react and provide my commentary. So if you would please, as you come in, hit the thumbs up and like the video. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for stopping by and supporting. And now let's go ahead and get the show on the road. So within the past couple of days, or actually the past few days, actually, I've been looking at this whole food stamp situation and trying to follow it and see where it's going to go, if it's going to clear up quickly. Also, the issue that's causing the food stamp situation is the government shutdown, and as well as the both of the sides, the Republican side and the Democrat side, talking about the reasons why they're at a standstill, basically. So anyway, I've been, like I said, just kind of watching to see which way this thing is going to go, how quickly it's going to get there. And so it looked like on the 31st, I know today for me, it's 1 a.m. So for me, today is the 2nd, but on the 31st, it looked like the whole situation was going to be resolved pretty quickly within, I don't know, the first around about the first week or so maybe of November, because we had some federal rulings that came out and said that the contingency fund that is available would need to be used so that the SNAP benefits can go ahead and be paid. So now I'm not so sure that that's going to be, how fast that's going to be, because of some other things that I've been reading. So anyway, I wanted to come in and just talk about that a little bit. And like I said, continue to follow and see how long this is going to take for people to actually be able to utilize those benefits again and feed themselves and their families and children and elders and everybody who accesses SNAP benefits. So anyway, I went over to Truth Social to see what, if anything, Donald Trump had to say about this directly. I know I've caught him a couple times on some, I think he was in his airplane. Reporters asked him a few questions about it, and he's talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to see what he actually put on Truth Social, if anything. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about that right now. So now this was the same day. This was 5:10 p.m., the same day that those federal rulings came out. And the one that specifically said that he definitely, his administration needed to take that $6 billion contingency fund and use that and other monies if necessary to go ahead and get the November benefits out. So let's go ahead and see what he said. Donald Trump, President DJT, on October 31st, 2025. So he said, "Our government lawyers do not think we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with certain monies we have available. And now 2 courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. Now that's interesting because two courts issued one court issued an opinion that said withholding the SNAP benefit is unlawful. Another court issued the ruling that the administration had to go ahead and use the actual $6 billion contingency fund to go ahead and pay those benefits. So, but this is what he's saying. He's saying our government lawyers do not think we have the legal authority to pay SNAP with certain monies we have available, and now two courts have issued conflicting opinions on what we can and cannot do. Okay, put a pin in that, and I see some chats coming in. Let me see. Julian Gaming. Hi, Julian Gaming. Thanks for stopping in. And hello, Jacob Ortner or Ortner. Hello, thanks for stopping in. Couple of messages held for review. Please be nice. Because, excuse me, because YouTube is just going to hold the message for review. I'm not asking to see anything outrageous. And Kay Francis, hi Kay Francis, the contingency fund should be used for EBT. Yes, and that is specifically what one of the federal judges ruled on Friday. And Michael, hi. Oh, you're saying it shouldn't be used for EBT. Well, you have at least one federal judge that disagrees, and his administration was ordered to pay. And then another federal judge that said that the withholding is unlawful. So that's what we have out of the courts right now. What are we talking about? Hi, Jacob. Oh, that's Jacob Ortner again. Okay, I'm talking about keeping up with what's going on with the SNAP food stamp benefit situation while the government is shut down, and the November SNAP benefits are being withheld right now. I was kind of wondering if anybody actually received theirs today, or I'm sorry, on the 1st. So I don't know if there's any recipients in the live or anything, but I was kind of wondering if anybody actually did receive theirs. And then that's not necessarily saying that the money came from the government, because the states do have some funds that they can allocate toward it. But, you know, we don't know what states will go ahead and use some of their own funding to allocate toward it. So what are my thoughts on it? Well, I have a lot of thoughts on it. I think that it should be like the normal, it should be paid as normal, because this doesn't have to be being withheld. So we've had other government shutdowns, and I think that they should do what they normally do in other government shutdowns. But it's not being done. Like the entire government shutdown is not being done like a normal government shutdown, and nothing is happening like it was done previously. So and then Kyle Hendricks says everyone on SNAP should be reviewed before giving back benefits. The amount of people not even trying to better themselves and just living off the system is outrageous. Let's see. Okay, people are hitting the like button. Thanks for everybody that's hitting the like button. All right, that was Kyle Hendricks' perspective. I heard that, Kyle. You know, before, so there are new rules, and I think those new rules are set to start rolling out on whenever they get these November benefits back, or probably definitely December. And I talked about that one of these days here recently on my channel. I talked about all the new way that they're giving out SNAP benefits. And so they have this whole new able-bodied person rule, and they do have a new system for evaluating who actually gets SNAP and how much and things like that. So so that is already being done within this administration. But before this administration, I don't know, you know, everybody, people aren't always well versed on how these things are. And you know what else? It might be being done different in different states. So, maybe, you could find out how it's being done already, because as for what I know, a lot of the things that I hear people say about SNAP benefits and stuff like that is just really not the way that it is. Oftentimes, a lot of people, they've changed a lot of things about welfare systems over the years. A lot of times people are working. They have a limit that you can make and not go over or whatever before you can not be eligible to receive those benefits. But, oftentimes people are working. A lot of times people are actually also only using those benefits when they're laid off from a job, and or they get hurt on a job, or they become disabled for some reason. It's really a case by case basis, but the idea that the majority of people are just on these programs year after year without doing anything, that's not true, because these systems have been reformed over time, and people do have to kind of move along. They have to get work or get in work programs so that they can different types of educational programs so that they can get a job if they're not hireable. It's a lot of things. So, I know people don't have time to do all this looking into everything, but sometimes before we, let's just put myself in it too, before we make certain comments, maybe we should learn a bit more. And like I said, it's probably has a lot to do with state by state. Different states probably can implement different type deals. But yeah, with that being said, let me just move on. All right, so back to Truth Social here. Let's see. So I only only got to the first sentence. Okay, so Donald Trump on Truth Social says, "I do not want Americans to go hungry just because the radical Democrats refuse to do the right thing and reopen the government." Okay. And then after that statement, he says, "Therefore, I have instructed our lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible." So he says he has instructed his lawyers to ask the court to clarify how we can legally fund SNAP as soon as possible. Funny thing about asking the court to clarify something is that means, of course, you have to go back before the court again. So this all happened on Friday. So now there's another process of going back to the court and doing, whatever motion or whatever is necessary to ask the court to, can you clarify how can we legally fund SNAP? All right, so that's what he said that he did. So, like I said, another process. Now, it is already delayed enough due to the Democrats keeping the government closed through the monthly payment date. And even if we get immediate guidance, it will unfortunately be delayed while states get the money out. Okay, so he goes on to say, if we are given the appropriate legal direction by the court, it will be my honor, and he stressed that by putting it in all caps, to provide the funding, just like I did with military and law enforcement pay. All right, he goes on to say, the Democrats should quit this charade where they hurt people for their own political reasons and immediately reopen the government. If you use SNAP benefits, so he's given a directive here. If you use SNAP benefits, call the Senate Democrats and tell them to reopen the government now. Here's the crying, and he actually says crying, C-R-Y-I-N apostrophe. Here's the crying Chuck Schumer's office number. And that number is 202-224-6542. So basically, sounds to me like he wants people to flood Chuck Schumer's number, putting pressure on him, the leader over there, the Senate Democrat leader. So he wants people to start calling Chuck Schumer and saying, hey, whatever y'all have to do, reopen the government. We're hungry. We need our SNAP benefits. And the problem with that is that the Democrats are holding out so that they can try, which they have been unsuccessful with doing, but they're holding out to try to get the Republicans to come to meet with them and to negotiate and sort out the things that the Democrat side wants and the things that the Republican side is willing to give leeway on, so that they can feel good about signing this continuing resolution, I think it's called. So, but so far, I think the way that it's been going is that the Republicans don't want to give at all. They don't want to talk to them about any type of negotiation. They don't want to come to the negotiating table and give anything and take anything away or nothing. They just want the Democrats to go ahead, give us these votes that we need, let us get our stuff passed, and then we'll talk to you, which is, if you think about it, with, the Republicans having all of the branches of the government under their control pretty much, if you have one thing that you have some leverage on that you can use, why would you give that up and just trust that, okay, after I give up my leverage, then you're gonna hear me out. It doesn't really make sense in any in any type of negotiation you can come up with. That nobody would do that. But let me see. A light in here. Okay, so I'll go back up a few comments so I can see. So Mr. None of Your Business said, imagine getting a job. Yeah, and I addressed that. A lot of people, I would almost venture to say, not most people on SNAP are kids, right? That's the highest number of people on SNAP are children, but of course, some parent or guardian, somebody. Also, do y'all know who else gets SNAP? Is foster kids. foster parents, people in foster care get SNAP benefits. I think even people adopted out of the foster care system get SNAP benefits. So, by and large, the highest number of people on SNAP benefits are children. And then, so for the people saying, well, get a job, I mean, yeah, their parent, their guardian, if they're able to get a job, but I'm submitting to you that many, many people on SNAP benefits, I don't have a percentage number for you, but many people do have a job. They just still qualify for the SNAP benefits because they don't make enough money to fall outside of those guidelines. So they still, don't have enough money to pay for their cost of living and everything. So they still qualify for the SNAP benefits. And, and oftentimes those are people that are getting SNAP benefits. Kay Francis says the judicial branch shouldn't have an input on congressional matters. EBT is a benefit, not a right in the Constitution. I hear you, Kay Francis. Don't have kids you can't afford with men who can't support both woman and child. I hear you. This is all very idealistic, but I heard that, in other words. Let's see, Kyle Hendricks. That's what people don't get. Trump gets blamed for everything. Don't always agree with him, but all this is not on him. Well, Trump, he has a lot of political theater. And when you're on the other side of it, it doesn't feel real good. And I mean, he specifically said, I don't know if y'all, because I follow this stuff because I can't seem to take my attention away from it. But, he specifically said that, oh, I'm so glad. In other words, I don't know if he said I'm glad. I might be lying with that one. But basically, he said that the Democrats are, with this shutdown, they're giving him an opportunity to take away programs that are Democrat programs that Republicans don't like anyway. So that's fine. If they want to keep the government shut down, he'll just take away programs that are Democrat programs that he's not going to bring back. And, oh well. And that he pretty much verbatim said that. So, when you say he gets blamed for everything, I mean, he pretty much gets blamed for the things that he literally says out of his mouth. I mean, and I, for one, I don't understand why we need to not take the president seriously. I don't like that. I don't like that there's this whole, oh, well, it's just Trump. That's ridiculous to me. I don't know the man. I've never met him. I don't know him at all. And neither do most of us. So I don't really understand this sentiment that we don't need to take the president seriously, but yet we need to take the president seriously. Like, that's not okay. It's really not okay. And it wouldn't be okay for anybody. Anybody. It's not okay it wouldn't be okay for anybody in your real life that you can't listen to them and take them for their word. I mean, most people like that in people's lives, you put them out of your life because you can't trust them. You don't know what they're going to do. And, we're just not going to let people do us like that. So, but I mean, yeah, if he gets blamed for stuff, it's mostly things that he's actually doing and he actually said that people don't agree with. I mean, you already have two political sides, or more than two political sides, but you end up having to pick one, right? So, you already have that, and I don't think it helps when somebody purposefully tries to agitate, the other side. Let's see. Trump is just a no stranger to danger. Hey, and hello everybody if you're stopping in. Thanks. I appreciate you coming by. Just a scapegoat for everything. Okay. Don't work to pay taxes for no stranger to danger. 1.5 million immigrants are on SNAP. Well, I'm pretty sure, now I'm not the authority, but I'm pretty sure you have to be a legal immigrant, and there's classes of legal immigrants, right? So, but it's being a legal immigrant is supposed to be okay. At one point in time, a legal immigrant was like, okay, you're a legal immigrant. Now it's like people have this illegal word that they throw around, but really, it's like anybody is getting harassed about their citizenship status. So, but yeah, my point was there's I believe, a legal class of immigrant that can be on some benefits. Let's see, no stranger to danger. I'm a maintenance tech for a low-income apartment complex, and there's a lot of people that stay home all day. No one's going to work. Shaking my head. Well, no stranger to danger. You do know a lot of people work from home, right? A lot of people work from home on the computer. All right, Kyle Hendricks. Google says the percent of people on SNAP that work is only 23%. Well, that's because you have to factor in children. You have to factor in the disabled. You have to factor in the elderly. You have to factor in, I don't know, disabled veterans. Like, there's a lot of groups. So maybe get another breakdown. But I do know from checking another time here recently, the largest group of people on benefits are children. And then I think it goes to people 18 to 64 or something like that. And then it might go to, I don't know what the other, I can't remember, but yeah. All right, so hello, Robert Horton. Jesus Christ is a soon coming king. Splatter, hello. Cut the waist. Ken, I'll have some good names. Aquatarium, Ken Aquatarium. If you have nothing wrong with you, get a job, stop living off blue collar dollar. Yeah, I think people should get a job. I hope most people want to get a job. I wish the jobs paid more. I wish we had more money from our jobs so that people can pay these, I don't know, anywhere from, it's a 1-bedroom apartment nowadays, like $1,400 for a 1-bedroom apartment. I mean, I'm pretty sure it depends upon where you live, but like, I wish people could make more money from their jobs so that they would have more money to actually pay for the things that we need. But yeah, I think most people want to work. I think unless you have some delays, or you have some mental health challenges. Um, Other than that, I mean, unless you're criminal minded, but I think most people want to work. Let's see. No, children can't sign up for benefits, Splatter, but like I said, there's a tremendous amount of people like in the foster care system and stuff like that. Those foster care parents, they get benefits for those kids. And then, like I said, of course, you have your parents that get benefits, but I've heard people lately on TikTok saying like them and their spouse work, but they still get SNAP because they don't make enough money between them to pay for the food that they need, and they fall inside of the guidelines. They qualify to get SNAP, so they get it so that they can feed their family. Let's see. So no stranger to danger. You're going inside of people's apartments and checking to see if they're working. That doesn't sound like part of the job description. It just doesn't sound like part of the deal. I wish the government would stop taxing us so much. Yeah, so a lot of people, or, let's see, how can I put that? You have some experts that think that if we could tax the rich, like the 1%, the ultra rich, if we could tax the ultra rich more instead of continuing to let them get tax cuts off of us, the working class, and the middle class, that we could get a break on the middle class taxes, provided that you're not a part of the 1%. But we could get a break on working class, middle class taxes if the ultra rich would pay more. But the ultra rich, they don't want to pay more. And even though they don't need to be billionaires and stuff, they want tax cuts. So, and they get them apparently. So there you have it. Yeah, my camera is working. I'm in between haircuts. I decided to do a haircut, and then I didn't want to finish the whole job, so I'm just not gonna turn on my camera because my haircut is strange. Let's see. Oh, you're talking about in people's apartments again. My God. The conditions are horrific. Okay. And then back with Kay Francis, lazy people shouldn't be getting benefits over 2 years. Stop leeching off the system. Like I said, Kay Francis, if you want to, you can Google, you can find the new SNAP layout. Some of this is in there. At least without. How does it go? I'm sorry. I listen to too much stuff every day. I can't remember how it goes, but SNAP has a new way that they're doing it. Even when SNAP does come back, people that are in the able-bodied class that are not whatever that able-bodied, they have a definition for it. A lot of people that are getting them now won't be getting them, or they won't be getting the same amount. So some of your ideas, it looks like they've already implemented. Let's see. Yeah, that is freaking funny. No stranger to danger. Okay. The rich pays most of the taxes. Okay. Well, just, I'm not an economist either, but just listening to some of the economists that I listen to, um, they feel, at least some of them, that they could pay more, and maybe it would be um, warranted, because they are oftentimes using a lot, getting a lot, using a lot of the resources, running their businesses throughout the country. And what is that? I mean, a lot of people make more than minimum wage, but the minimum wage hasn't gone up in years and years. We don't really have a we don't have a livable minimum wage at all. So, if I was an economist, I could go there with you, but I'm not, so I digress. But I do listen to a lot of experts though. Let's see, despite making up only 1%, and then yeah, because they provide jobs for the rest of us. Yeah, so there's a thing with that whole trickle down economics that was, kind of sold to the country during, what was it, the Reagan administration. And trickle down economics didn't, it didn't do what it was touted to do. So they do provide jobs for the rest of us, but if you have a job and you're working there 40 to 60 hours a week, and it's not enough to pay your bills and feed you, is that really, are those companies really doing the best for us that they can do? And then, their CEOs are making, upwards of $500,000 to into the millions of dollars a year. And then, they have people working there making 18, 17, 18, $20 an hour. I don't know. I'm asking y'all. I'm asking for a friend. Okay, let's see. Those rich guys are the reasons there's businesses that need employees. The elderly, disabled, and military vets should get help, but any able-bodied person should be working. So yeah, hey Tom Sawyer. So yeah, they've got some of these ideas that y'all have. They've got some of this stuff implemented. And I don't disagree. I think what I'm saying is a lot of these things, obviously they did make some changes, but a lot of these things were already being done to a certain extent. Like, you can't just get all of these welfare programs and just hang out, like you have to get in, you have to get into programs. Like, if you can't get a job, then you have to get with the programs that they have. You have to get signed up. You have to get moving. You have to get into educational programs. If you're not able to just get a job with what you got, then they'll get you into an education. They'll get you into some type of school so that you can become hireable. And so a lot of these things are already being done, and have been being done. So, I kind of see those programs as things that a lot of times, like, if you see somebody that's on a program today, you don't know if they just got on the program last week because they got laid off. And they're just kind of taking, using the program while they have it, because as soon as they get a job, they're going to get off of unemployment. They're going to get off of the whatever the wealth, the SNAP benefit or whatever it is. They're going to get off of that because they're going to, make whatever amount of money. And, most people, I think, and like I said, all this stuff is state by state. So this might all depend upon what state you're in. But most people are going to, if they, get another job, they're probably going to be making enough money to where they don't qualify for that benefit anymore, or they don't qualify for as much of it anymore. So, as for what I'm thinking that a lot of people use these benefits between jobs after layoff. Something weird happens, you get fired or you get hurt at work. Work doesn't really have disability anymore. Like, you can pay for some disability insurance, but what if you don't want like that much more money coming out of your excuse me, paycheck? You're not going to pay for the short-term or long-term disability. So then you get hurt at work, or you get hurt and you can't go to work or whatever. And maybe they hold your job and everything, but you're not going to be getting paid while you're off. So it's just like so many reasons why people will go and run to get on a program to kind of float them until they can, get to the next step. And it's funny to me, I've seen so many people on TikTok do this. They get on TikTok with all this like vitriol and rage, you need to work, you need to get out there, you need to get off your ass, you need to do what you need to do. And then and then it's like, and yeah, and I was on that program, but I used it and I got another job. And I'm thinking, well, how the hell do you know that that's not what this other person is doing? You're looking at them in a freaking moment in time. You don't know that they're living on this like years and years of their life, or they're using it just like you did. But people want to people are so eager to hate on somebody. And I'm like, hey, roll it the freak back, because you don't know that people, this is a, kind of a movable thing. You can get in, you can get out. You don't necessarily, and I'm not saying that people don't try to live on things. There's always going to be somebody stealing, somebody frauding, you're always going to have that. But you also have people that use it when they need it, and then they don't need it anymore. They get their job, they start their business, they do whatever they need to do, and they get off. And that's what people don't talk about. People, get in and get out, just like you get unemployment if you get laid off. You get in, you get out. You float yourself, and then it's over. So I don't, I'm like, my God, if you used it when you needed it, how do you know that this person didn't just use it when they needed it? And when you just can't see that for somebody else, like you could see it for yourself, you need to splash some cold water on your face and try to figure out why, what is wrong with me to where I can't see that maybe other people are using this just like I did. Why do I have to make them so wrong and I'm somehow so right? Oh, I was right. I was justified when I needed to use the program. I was, it was wonderful. It was justifiable. Well, but you can't see that it was justifiable for somebody else. Something is wrong with that thinking. And also, nobody owes it to you to prove to you that, well, I was just using it for 2 months. I mean, who are we that we need everybody to on the program to come check in and say that they were just using it this. I was just using it. I just got laid off. Who are you? Who are we? Like, who do we think we are? It's Something's wrong. Something is very wrong. But just saying all that to say, there are people that use it. They know that they've used it. They know they got laid off. They know they went and got that unemployment and that SNAP benefit so that they could stay afloat. And then they can't see. It's inconceivable. They cannot see that that's what many, maybe millions of other people are doing. When they have their issue, they're on it 3-4 months. They get their job, they're off of it. They get settled in their new workplace. It goes away. They let it go away. They call the people and say, hey, I got a job. How come we can't see that maybe the entire country, with the exception of, of course, the ultra rich or, just certain groups of people have not used these programs when they needed it. Like, what is wrong with us that we can't see that? And we want everybody to be some type of career person that is on there. And if nobody's ever told you, I'm telling you, that's not how it goes. That's not how they have systems set up to move people off of these programs. Sorry, I missed a bunch of y'all's comments. Let's see. K Francis, I think K Francis is a troll or a bot or just an extremely judgmental person, because that type of stuff is that's the ideal. But you got 42 million people on SNAP, so obviously something's up. 42 million people aren't able to catch up with the ideal of having a savings on standby. So maybe you should teach us all how to, pop out and get it together. I don't know what EBT means. But yeah, thank y'all for stopping in. If I didn't already say that, if you came in recently. Let's see, 6 months to a year or 2 is reasonable, but 5 years or better. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I've never worked there. Again, I'm not a lot of things. I'm not an economist. I never worked for the, have I ever worked for the government? No, I've never worked for the government in any capacity. So I don't know exactly how long you can actually be on. But what I am saying is now, and I'm not a spring chicken. So today compared to like years and years ago when I knew of how some of that stuff worked, and then compared to nowadays, I don't know what year they started doing it, but they started implementing things to where it just basically makes it hard to impossible, or maybe just very uncomfortable. Like, there's no way to just keep getting everything and not doing something for yourself, in other words. So they have those systems in place to where you have to get together with the job placement type things. And if you can't get a job, then you have to start going to some classes, and you have to start picking something that they have funded that you can get a certification in, and you have to, they get you going, or else you don't get to just keep getting everything. So you have to participate in some programs that will help you with your upward mobility. And if you don't participate, then you don't keep qualifying for the program. And then once you participate in the program and you get educated, if that's what you needed or whatever you needed, then you start making some money and then you don't qualify for the program. I'm just saying that type of stuff has been in play. So they're tightening it. They're stiffening it up now. They have some new things where they don't want anybody getting anything or hardly anything. I don't I don't know. I read the article though. So people that are like completely able-bodied, and I guess if you don't have any like really small children or something like that, you are not going to be able to be on those programs. So they've started, moving this in a lot of the direction that y'all are talking about, but I'm submitting to you that that's been they have been getting people kind of like the lifers, the career people, like this is what I do. Only they've been getting those people to where they have to move it along. Let's see. So what do y'all think? How long do y'all think this shutdown is gonna go on? Let's see. Okay, Francis, you can say whatever you want to say. Maybe not to me, but you can you can be however you want to be. Next of kin, hey, next of kin, a truck is an investment and you have to insure your investments. Okay, I think I might have missed something because I didn't understand the correlation. Bill DeSmet. Well, Bill DeSmet, I'm black and I don't like derogatory black jokes. So you can go take that somewhere where somebody likes it because I don't. Like I said, you can say whatever you want to say, just not to me. Not to me. I don't, I'm not a say whatever you want to say platform because I'm not a conglomerate. I'm just a person. So if you want to, I mean, obviously everybody can say whatever they want to say, but just not here. Just not to me. This is not a company or anything like that. I'm just a person. I'm not gonna deal with y'all's thing that y'all like to do. Whoever likes to do that, go to where somebody is okay with it, because I'm not. Let's see. All right, next of kin. I don't know what that means. Everything costs money, so don't steal from the grocery stores or those grocery stores will disappear. Yeah, I hope, I did another video and just talked about things that people can use their limited budget, because most, like I said, most people have some money, most people are working with some budget. And if they're on benefits, of course, they're going to have to take their money that they're using to pay other things and buy some groceries. And, you know, we can, you can just go back to the staples, which, rice, beans, all those soups, stews, all those things can be made relatively cheaply. They can last a while. And just, so many things that people can do. I didn't even think of this the other day when I did my video, but if you have access to fishing, fishing is something that, can definitely yield you some food. And a lot of people already do stuff like that, but sometimes, people have gotten so like modernized that we don't all the time think of those things to do anymore, when you could absolutely go and, do some fishing. I wouldn't advise hunting if you don't know anything about hunting, but yeah, I would definitely just, say get back to the staples, uh, get back to the pots of beans and peas and rice and oats and stews. And, it's just no need for stealing. There's lots of food pantries out here. There's lots of charity still. So hopefully people tap into that and they take the resources that they do have and just scale it back. Because stealing, that stuff just puts you, back into a whole downward spiral that nobody needs that. Let's see. It costs money to maintain. Next to Ken said it takes money to maintain those trucks, and it costs money to keep those farms producing because the farm equipment requires maintenance too. So I missed this conversation y'all are talking about, but yeah, absolutely. K. Francis, use the troops to send the shoplifters to jail. At least, whatever happened to just using the police force? When did the police force become insufficient? Uh, they seem to be able to do whatever they needed to do like 1 year ago. I don't know what all happened in 1 year's time that the police force became like null and void. Let's see. I don't know that they do jobs in jail. But yeah, people do okay when there are jobs that they can get and when the jobs pay to take care of themselves. People do seem to do really well with opportunities. Let's see, that's probably why Rite Aid disappeared. Tell those thieves to go drill for the oil that is needed if they want to pay for their stolen goods. Okay, Ghost. I can't pronounce that word, but hello and thanks for stopping in. If you're just now coming in, it costs money to hold in. Really now? Okay, let's see. Next of kin. Yeah, man, 10 acres is huge to me. Let's see. Obviously, if you can't share the road because you don't know how to operate a commercial vehicle safely, you don't need to have it either. Okay. Causing damage to the working class only causes harm to all of society and all of humanity and all of the economy. Wow. That's so true, next of kin. Yeah, because the thing is, we're all very connected. So this whole food stamp thing is going to have an effect on, it's going to have an effect on a lot. It's going to have an effect on the makers of the food. It's going to have an effect on the supply chain. It's going to have an effect on the grocers. Yeah, I think, the whole food thing is going to ricochet in a lot of different directions. All right. Thank you so much for stopping in. Uh, no, I keep wanting to say no stranger to danger. Thank you too for chatting, Kay Francis. Um, who else chatted? Next to Ken. Um, if you're just stopping in, Splatter. But yeah, I had some consistent chatters, so I appreciate y'all for chatting. We don't have to agree at all, but yeah, I'm just not going to put up with somebody speaking derogatory or, all those different things. That's not, there's places for that. It's just not here. Okay. Yeah, the fit to work people, they're going to be put off SNAP. According to the new rules for SNAP, and I did do a video where I laid that out. So if you're interested in finding out what those are, very recently I did a video on that here on this channel. What else? I did a video on things that you can go buy at that, on a low, tight budget that will feed a family. How you can really keep eating. Stretch a budget on a little bit of money with some rice and some bags of beans. You have to go back to get on Pinterest, find you some good recipes for some stews, and make some pans of cornbread or whatever kind of bread you like to make in your culture. I grew up on cornbread. I had cornbread almost every day when I was a kid. And we had a pot of beans or peas almost every day. And we had meat, but we didn't have like a lot of meat. Like when we had roast, like you got a little bit of roast, and then you got a lot of beans, a lot of cornbread, a lot of greens. So whatever, sweet potatoes, potatoes and green beans, kind of made like a big pot of soup. Yeah, because a lot of people to eat every day, and so that's the best way to do it, on your staples and your what is it, your in season veggies. And you can make it that way on a very little bit of money. So it's kind of foreign to a lot of people now, but if you go back to doing that sort of stuff, people will be okay. So anyway, all right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for rocking with me, and we'll stay up on what's going on with the food stamps, with the whatever it's called, SNAP benefits, with the country, and whatever else I find that I want to share with y'all. All right. Thank y'all so much. And I will see you on the next one. Bye bye.